My wife laughed, announcing our divorce, finally free of him. I smiled and said, "Indeed." Then reality hit her hard when she realized the prenup entitled me to 75% of our assets, and her laughter turned to bargaining. "Hi, my name is Alexander, 45 male, and 3 weeks ago my wife, Victoria, 42, decided to drop a bomb. We were at one of those stuffy charity galas her best friend Heather, 43, ropes us into. Victoria had a bit too much champagne, apparently. During a lull in the forced mingling, she turned to me, a glittering, almost manic smile plastered on her face. "Victoria, darling," she always called me darling when she was about to stick the knife in. "I've been meaning to tell you. I want a divorce. I'm finally going to be free of you." She actually laughed, a high tinkling sound that grated on my last nerve. The small circle of acquaintances around us went awkwardly silent. Heather looked momentarily shocked, then quickly schooled her features into something resembling sympathetic concern for Victoria. Bless her cotton socks. I just looked at Victoria, took a slow sip of my club soda I was driving, and smiled back. A genuine calm smile. "Me indeed, Victoria. Perhaps you will be." Her laughter faltered. She expected hysterics, begging, a scene. She didn't get it. She just got agreement. The onlookers shifted, unsure how to react to my lack of drama. The car ride home was arctic. She kept shooting me venomous glances, clearly furious I hadn't played my assigned role of the devastated husband. "Victoria. Well, aren't you gonna say anything? Beg? Plead?" "Me? You said you wanted a divorce, Victoria. You seemed quite happy about it. Why would I beg you to stay if you're so eager to be free?" She scoffed. "Don't think this means you're getting off easy. My lawyer will be in touch. I expect a very generous settlement, after all I've put up with." Ah yes, the putting up with me narrative. Conveniently forgetting the small fact that when we married 10 years ago, I had a moderately successful software company and she was a part-time yoga instructor with impressive debts. I insisted on a prenup. Not because I didn't love her then, but because I'm a practical man. My father's messy divorce was a cautionary tale. The prenup was ironclad. In case of a divorce initiated by her without proven fault on my part, infidelity, abuse, neither of which ever happened, I would retain 75% of all assets accumulated during the marriage and 100% of anything I owned prior. She got her personal belongings and 25% of the marital assets. It was generous at the time, considering her financial standing. She'd signed it, albeit reluctantly, after her then lawyer, paid for by me, reviewed it. The next morning, true to her word, a sleek envelope from Douglas Aaron and Associates arrived via courier. Inside, a demand for 50% of everything, plus lifelong alimony and possession of our primary residence. Standard aggressive opening salvo. I just scanned it, made a copy, and forwarded it to my own lawyer, Peter Thorne. A man who eats Associates from Douglas Aaron and Associates for breakfast. My instructions to Peter were clear. Adhere strictly to the prenup, and all communication must go through him. A day later, the first text from Victoria directly, already attempting to bypass the lawyers she insisted on. "Victoria, what is this prenup BS your lawyer is talking about? That thing isn't serious." I didn't reply to her. I screenshotted the text, sent it to Peter with a note. "FYI, please reiterate to her counsel that all communication must be directed through them, not to me personally. I will not be responding to her directly." I then blocked Victoria's number. If she wanted legal channels, she'd get them, exclusively. The silence from her end for the next 48 hours, at least to me directly, was golden. I imagine Peter had a concise word with Mr. Douglas. The laughter, I suspect, has well and truly stopped. Update 1. 1 week later. Well folks, the temperature has definitely risen. It seems reality in the form of a legally binding document is a rather chilly bath for Victoria. After I blocked Victoria and routed her text through Peter, her lawyer, Mr. Douglas, must have had a very unpleasant meeting with her. According to Peter, Douglas called him, blustering, trying to find loopholes, suggesting emotional distress and coercion regarding the prenup. Peter, bless his shark-like heart, just calmly pointed out the independent legal advice she received and the decade that had passed without contest. The next offensive came from an unexpected yet predictable quarter. Victoria's mother, Janet, 65. Janet has always believed her daughter was destined for a life of luxury, preferably bankrolled by someone else. She called me. "Janet, Alexander, I am appalled. Utterly appalled. After everything Victoria has given to this marriage, you wave this piece of paper in her face? Me, Janet, that piece of paper is a legal agreement Victoria signed willingly. All financial discussions are now being handled by our respective legal counsel as per Victoria's initial demand. I suggest you direct any concerns through them. But she created a beautiful home. She was your hostess. You're leaving her destitute. She'll have nothing. Me, she will receive exactly what was agreed upon in the prenup, Janet. It's a considerable sum, far from destitute. Beyond that, it's a legal matter now. I won't discuss it further. I then politely ended the call. Then came Heather, Victoria's chief enabler. She cornered me at the gourmet grocery store we both, unfortunately, frequent. Alexander, how could you be so cruel to Vicky? She's heartbroken, and this prenup nonsense, it's insulting. Heather, the only thing insulting here was Victoria laughing in my face while announcing our divorce at a public event. The prenup is a binding legal agreement. She wanted this to be handled by lawyers. That's precisely what's happening. But she loves you. She's just confused. You should be fighting for her. Me, her actions and her legal demands suggest otherwise. This is now in the hands of Mr. Douglas and Peter Thorne. I suggest Victoria discusses her feelings with her own counsel. Heather huffed, muttering something about me being cold-hearted, and flounced off towards the imported cheeses, probably to report back to Victoria. The latest salvo from Victoria's lawyer? A new proposal. They're now willing to graciously accept 40% of marital assets in the house. Oh, and temporary spousal support of $20,000 a month while she gets back on her feet. The entitlement is breathtaking. Peter's response was a single sentence, CCing me. We reiterate our client's position regarding the existing and binding prenuptial agreement. No further negotiation on its core terms will be entertained. I've started boxing up her personal belongings, designer clothes, unworn shoes, endless decorative items. It's an astonishing amount of stuff. Each item a testament to a life lived without considering cost. I've been informed through Peter that she attempted to text me from a different number, something about me enjoying her suffering. I instructed Peter to inform her lawyer that any further attempts to contact me directly outside of official channels would be documented as harassment. My phone remained silent to her. Update 2, 3 weeks later. It's been a wild few weeks. The pressure campaign has escalated and the dirty tricks have begun. But if they thought I'd fold, they clearly don't know me at all. After the 40% offer was flatly rejected, Team Victoria got creative. First, I started getting calls from unknown numbers, usually hang-ups. Peter advised logging them, which I did. Then, a more direct hit. A concerned friend, almost certainly Heather, anonymously reported a domestic disturbance at my address a few nights ago. 2 very polite police officers showed up at my door around 10 p.m. Officer Zachary was professional. Officer Zachary, sir, we received a call about a loud argument, possibly physical, at this residence. Officers, I live alone. My wife and I are separated. She moved out 3 weeks ago. All communication is via legal counsel. You're welcome to come in. They did a cursory check, saw nothing amiss, and apologized for the inconvenience. I made sure to get an incident number, which I forwarded to Peter. He noted it would add to a pattern of harassment should it continue. The next charming development was an email to my work HR department, CCing my boss. An anonymous letter alleging I was unstable, erratic, and using company resources for my divorce, affecting my performance. My boss called me in, showed me the email, and said, "This smells like BS, Alexander, but HR has to follow up." I calmly explained the situation to HR, pointed out my performance reviews, and the investigation was closed within 48 hours. Another one for Peter's file. During the now underway financial discovery process, Peter called me. Good news and further proof of her character, he said. On Victoria's submitted schedule of assets, she conveniently forgot to declare that diamond tennis bracelet you mentioned purchasing for her last year. The one valued at $50K. We'll be addressing this omission formally, of course. This just solidified my resolve. The climax, however, came yesterday. Victoria herself showed up at the house with her sister Rachel, 38. Unannounced. I was on a work call. The doorbell rang incessantly, then pounding. I finished my call, looked through the peephole. It was them. I opened the door, chain still on. Me, Victoria? You know you shouldn't be here. All communication must be through our lawyers. You are trespassing. Victoria, Alexander, you have to stop this. This isn't fair. I'll have nothing. Her voice was rising. Me, this conversation is inappropriate and is now concluded. Please leave my property immediately, or I will call the police and report your trespassing. Peter Thorne will be happy to discuss any legitimate concerns with Mr. Douglas. Rachel started to say, Alexander, please, she's distraught. Me. Then her distress should be communicated through legal channels. Goodbye. I closed and locked the door. I could hear shouting outside for a few minutes. I immediately called Peter to document the incident and confirm I should call the police if they didn't leave promptly. They left before that was necessary. My revenge isn't about screaming matches. It's about the cold, hard, methodical application of logic and the law. She wanted freedom and to dictate terms. She's learning that legal agreements have teeth. Final update, 2 months later, it's done. The divorce was finalized last week. The dust has settled, and the quiet in this house is now just peaceful. After Victoria's dramatic appearance on my doorstep, which Peter promptly reported to Mr. Douglas as a serious breach of conduct and an attempt at intimidation, things seemed to accelerate. Mr. Douglas apparently had a very firm come-to-reality meeting with his client. The attempts to contest the core of the prenup ceased. The dirty tricks stopped, especially after Peter made it clear that any further spurious actions would result in us aggressively pursuing her for our legal fees and potentially reporting her for harassment. The omission of the bracelet on her asset declaration also didn't play well for her credibility. The final settlement was exactly as stipulated in the prenup. 75% of marital assets to me, 25% to her. She kept her personal items, including all the jewelry I'd gifted her over the years, including the now properly declared tennis bracelet. Her 25% still amounted to a 7-figure sum, enough to buy a luxury condo and live very well if she's even moderately sensible, which is a big if. Her mother, Janet, apparently called Peter's office and tried to plead Victoria's case for just a little more for her dignity. Peter's paralegal politely informed her that all discussions were concluded. Heather and the gossip brigade have gone quiet. I imagine it's less fun when the victim actually has a substantial bank balance and the villain simply stuck to a prior agreement with unwavering resolve. What of Victoria? I hear through the grapevine, small town, you know how it is, that she bought an overly extravagant penthouse apartment, probably ate up a good chunk of her settlement on the down payment alone. She's apparently trying to launch herself as some kind of lifestyle influencer. Lots of Instagram posts featuring expensive handbags and champagne brunches. The comments are a mix of fawning admirers and a few brave souls asking what exactly she does for a living. Her grand pronouncement of being finally free of him has taken on an ironic tinge. She's free of me, yes. But she's also free of the lifestyle my income provided, the security my planning ensured, and the easy ride she took for granted. Her laughter that night was the peak of her delusion. The bargaining that followed when she realized the prenup was real was a pathetic, undignified scramble. The revenge here wasn't some fiery confrontation. It was the quiet, methodical dismantling of her entitled expectations by consistently adhering to the legal process she initiated. It was watching her triumphant smirk curdle into bewildered fury, then into desperate negotiation, and finally, into sullen acceptance of the terms she agreed to a decade ago. The sweet, undeniable justice wasn't in making her suffer, but in making her face the entirely natural and predictable consequences of her own actions, arrogance, and attempts to circumvent a binding agreement. She thought she was playing chess and had me in checkmate. Turns out, she was playing checkers, and I'd already kinged all my pieces and knew the rules inside out. I've moved on. The house feels lighter. I'm dating someone new, a smart, funny architect who actually has her own career and doesn't see me as a walking ATM. It's refreshing. Victoria got her freedom, and I got to keep my assets, my dignity, and my peace of mind. And that, my friends, is what I call a win-win. Well, a win for me anyway. She made her choices.